Namaskar, welcome. Welcome to this next episode. We will be today dealing with another interesting topic on the child development cycles. And before we start, as we normally do, let us start with our prayer. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Dear friends, this topic of milestones is very important from many perspectives. As we look at the child development, as we look at the foundation we create in our, in the growth and development of our child, we note, we see a character coming out, but there is a logical upbringing and there is a logical process which we have, which is found out through the researches and through various developmental issues to figure out how we install each and every character attributes in our children, which will help the child to become a holistically developed being and who can at best is able to cope up in the world and find fulfillment in life. Now, whenever we talk about child development, if you Google it also, you will see there are many milestone development researches done, and they will tell you for each age group what has to be achieved. And that is how the kindergarten and primary school, everybody follows that. And they create from there their required syllabus and curriculum and methodologies. Today, what I'm going to share with you is a very interesting finding. I would put it in this way, and it has been tested for at least for 10 years now. And the way we have summarized it, it gives us a very beautiful chronology to understand what happens in the child's journey towards adulthood and how everything what is done in our children's life gets added, enhances our own development. And if you miss out any developmental milestone, how that would impact and hurt the journey of the child. And then we'll also look at certain methods and processes by which we can rectify any slips thereon. So let us start with the first milestone. And before that, I'll tell you the age group development of the child is divided into certain age brackets. The child development is done initially between 0 to 3. So it is calculated, or it is assessed that a child's learning happens initially between this phase of 0 to 3, and the next jump of learning happens between 3 to 4, then 4 to 5, and then 5 to 12, and then onwards. So this developmental cycle of 0 to 3 onwards, this is what we have to understand how to look at it. So when the child is being assessed between 0 to 3, what is the main major criteria or the milestone that we must look at? And that is the question. So when you say the child is between this period, what should be the parental approach? What should be the assessment? What should be the main factor that one needs to consider, that when my child is growing, this must be given to my child. This character attribute must be given to my child. And if my child has attained that character attribute, then he is set, so to say. Okay, so what is that one character? And that is what we are supposed to look at. Now, in this bracket, let me take it forward. And I do it usually in a workshop method in which we have a little bit of interaction. Now, since we are in this virtual template, so we may not have this pleasure of seeing you all, but only except for a few people who are in my studio there. So I'm just sharing this. So the first thing which we look at is the safety and security of the child, which means in this period of 0 to 3 years, a child will pick up many things because they learn only through seeing. Their observation faculty is there. But what is our milestone? What are we looking at? What do we want to the child to achieve formally is safety and security. Now, what is this safety and security? This safety and security is safety of physical body, emotional, and the holistic safety. Now, this is the very, very important and critical milestone in child's journey. Unfortunately, at this stage, it is not easy for every parent or every adult to understand. Even in parents, we find that mothers can understand a cry of a baby, a father cannot. It's not that father don't know, but because the interaction, the association which mother has with the child is for longer and stronger time than the father, because their father has to go out most of the time. So under the normal circumstances, mothers can even understand the way the child cries, the sound it creates, the way the child puts his hands, and the way it makes faces. It conveys something. So if you look at the whole approach, the child can get hurt or can feel insecure or can feel little scared with anything. It need not be only sight, it can be sound, it can be loneliness, it can be anything. And that is why in today's time, even people have cameras at home. They put up like circuit cameras in the bedrooms for child when they are sleeping. And if and mom is working in the kitchen or sitting and doing a drawing room, and suddenly you can see everything, and if you hear a little sound from the child's room, you rush. So now technology is being used to do this. But what is the logic behind it? The logic is not that the child may fall down or something, because now you have enough facilities, you can secure the child. But the real undercurrent of reason is that no impression of safety, no impression of insecurity should come and harm our children. So anytime the child faces any such environment in which the child's safety and security is questioned, is threatened, then we are putting the child development at risk. And incidentally, what they have found is the impact the child has at this point of time in life doesn't get visible or does not come out openly up till much later in life. So technically, one may have to wait for the child to become 30 plus, at least around there, to get to know what hurt has happened. And at that time, the impact is so different that then it requires a totally different kind of measures to fix it. For example, I'll give you little illustrations. There was a friend of mine who used to get scared of any loud noise. And later on, as an adult, the same thing was hitting him. Anytime there will be jerk of sound, he will get little upset about it. Like he'll get little afraid, or he can't take it easy. So he went through a hypnosis process, and there he found, there they diagnosed him that in the childhood there was a situation that he was alone, and he was at somebody's place, and suddenly, by mistake, he was awake and somebody dropped a big, like a vase, and that has shaken him up. And as a child, there was nobody around him to take care of him. So when the vase fell, that voice, loud noise was so much fearful that the impression remained in the child's heart. And when he cried, nobody came to hold him because nobody was around him. And when by the time the parents would have come, probably he would have stopped crying, or he must be sobbing a little bit, and everybody would have expected it to be a natural, normal cry, and they would have taken care of the child. So physically, apparently the child was perfectly fine, but that impact had remained. So growing up, the child had that fear always in his heart, and he did not himself know why does he get impacted so much. Why is that he feels so lost and confused and threatened with this kind of insecurity? So this is an impact of social security and safety and security. Another thing which is very, very important to highlight is people in this age, when they have been not safe and secure, their internal safety and security, when it is disturbed, they tend to become bullies as they grow older. They tend to destroy and disturb others' safety and security as they're growing up, because internally they are threatened, so they want to threaten others. So it's a very typical and peculiar psychology. As I say, that if you have love, you will share love. If you have fear, you will share fear. If you have insecurity, you're going to share insecurity. So people who get into bullying techniques or bullying attitudes, or people who get into, trying to hurt others, they're actually hurt within. So they need more sympathy and empathy more than punishment many times. So the safety and security is a very, very important and a crucial time. And that is why in our traditional upbringing of the child, our mothers, our would-be mothers also, would be put into an environment which was secure, safe, serene, and very, very pure. And that's why I'm sure if you really talk to your mothers and all, they would tell you that, put up nice pictures in the wall, put up babies, smiling babies in your room, listen to soft music, listen to some melodies, don't listen to harsh music, don't see violence on television also. See, all these things was told to us because the basic idea behind was that no sense of insecurity or threat should go into our child. And we have enough research to prove that the learning of the child starts from the womb. Friend, my name is Abhimanyu, and that was one of the biggest example in my thought in our Mahabharata story. So we learn from womb. So whatever happens when you have conceived the child, especially after the 6th and 8th month, between that period, as they say, when the life spark is in, and that is a time when the child starts receiving. So whatever kind of food you eat, whatever kind of music you listen, whatever kind of sights you see, what emotions you go through, everything impacts the child. And they all add to the safety and security of the child. That's why even if the child is from a economically poor background, but if the strong mother is there, if the mother is positive and strong, you will have enough examples to prove that their children come out shining, because the basic foundation is solid. The solid foundation, nothing changes. After that, you don't have to worry that what will happen to my child tomorrow, because he's so confident and so secure and self-confident inside that nothing will happen to him. So safety and security at this age is very, very crucial. And that is why many, many good parents, many people even recommend that when the parents, actually typically parents realize that you have a child of this age, they in fact take long holidays. They want to remain at home. And you see to it, is a normal suggestion to every parent, that see to it that your child is never left alone even for a second. Every moment you watch over the child, because by mistake also, if there is a negligence and there is an impact on the child, you may not know, because apparently the child would look perfectly fine, everything will be as normal, but the impact will be such that it will hurt. Hence, this, I am insisting, I am stressing on it very much, that this is the most, one of the very, very critical milestone developmental milestone in the child's life. And to fix this milestone is the very crucial and very hard as it gets older and become bigger. So we have to keep that in mind. So that is why I'm stressing it very much, that the first milestone is safety and security. So that is what we give first thing to the child. It does not mean that there are some children who speak faster, especially the girl child. They start talking faster, and many times boys speak after many years later. That's normal. You can have fun out of it, but that is how the nature is. But that does not mean, that you have to worry that why my child is not performing as other child. Sometimes we start competing with other children, and we start looking at, okay, look, this child is not only talking now, she's walking also, and my child has not yet started talking, and he's already 2 years old. See, this kind of confusion is not right. You have to understand that yes, we do take care of every aspect of child development, but understand the crucial thing. There can be delay in the child's response to the nature. There can be a very regulated delay in the child's expression, but that does not mean that we should forget what is more critical to the child. Is criticality in walking the child at 1.5, 2 years? Or is it critical that he should be safe and secure and feel happy about it? Because once he's happy and secure, he will walk. Sometimes he may take little bit and 6 months extra. He will talk. Sometimes he can take a 6 months, 1 year extra, but he will talk. There are many children you can see through that they will be using few words till they had become 3 or 4 years. But after that, when they speak, they don't stop talking. So there are illustrations for all aspects, but what is important is this milestone should not be forgotten. So when they have 0 to 3, our prime target is to give them safety and security. That is physical safety, emotional stability. It is safety from outside, safety from inside. So the child must feel happy and ready to accept the world. So that is safety and security. And they have a familiarity with their mother, especially. And through the mother, with the father and others in the close family whom they see regularly. So, because of that, this safety and security, the mothers have to really pass it on to the close network. So the child start experiencing the expansion of the growth. So let us take it like that. So first 0 to 3, safety and security. Then after 0 to 3, we come to the next phase, 3 to 4. Well, I don't mind opening the forum up and asking you all to keep typing. How do you think the next milestone should be? So you have 0 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and then 5 to 12, and then 12 to 16 and 19. So if you can tell me what should be 4 to 5, as I discussed 3 to 4, that would be a nice test for all of you. So next stage is 3 to 4. Now, in this, what we understand is that while we have given them the safety and security network, that safety and security network should continue as they move forward. And so, which means safety and security plus what else should we now focus when the child is 3 plus, when the child has come to 3 to 4 years old. And that is what we call emotional stability. This is a very another challenging aspect. Why? Because this is the time when typically the child now is sent to a formal learning environment. So between 2.5 to 3 years, many places around the world, children are sent to a kindergarten or a nursery or playhouse. So we start sending them out. So what happens now? The child is between 0 to 3 has been used to, is getting used to an environment, his or her toy house, his room, his mother, his father. They have a lovely environment and a world developed. And suddenly now, at 3, you take the child and put him in a different environment and tell, baby, that's your auntie now, or that's your teacher now. She will play with you. Can you imagine the psyche of the child? The child starts wondering, like, oh God, now what do I do? Who is this auntie whom I'm supposed to trust and talk? So there are many illustrations wherein the children don't even open their mouth. Whole day they just zup and look at the parents, look at the teachers. So what do we do with them? So that is what their emotions gets destabilized. They start feeling again their safety and security is disturbed. So whatever base you have given for safety and security is again shaken up when they move to 3 and 4, because the environment has changed. So far, if they had any issue, whether they want to go to a toilet or they want a water or they just want to sleep or they want to wake up, they have to just do and the mother will be right there. They have to do and they will know exactly what they want. Now they are in an environment where this is not understood, where the teacher looks at her face and says, what do you want? And the child goes, who is that? Does she not understand I am been giving the same indication that I gave it to my mother? So they are again threatened in that environment. So their safety and security has to be reinforced. That's why in kindergartens, we insist that the teachers are trained to understand this psychology of the child, and they must treat them with equal love and affection. I always call them as surrogate mothers. I always tell the teachers in kindergarten that you have to act like a surrogate mothers. Don't think of yourself as teachers, because only when you experience that motherhood in the love in your heart and you approach the children, then only the children will feel comfortable and warmth towards you. So in especially in this period of 3 to 4, when they come to the new environment, the environment must also look like home. It should not look like teacher school. And that is where we also insist in the new designing of the classrooms. In kindergartens, there are hardly any chairs. We have the literally floor decorations, and they are all done with a logic and reasoning. The child must feel comfortable, must feel secure, must feel happy, must feel welcomed and warm in the same manner. That's why if you interact with the kindergarten schools children, you will realize that they are very comfortable. When they get comfortable in the school, they own that classroom, and they don't like any visitors coming to their class also. So teachers have to prepare them before any visitor can come into the class, because they feel like encroachment. Why are you coming into my class? It's like coming into my bedroom. Why are you coming? Because for children, that becomes their environment. Their safety and security is preserved there. So their safety and security leads to the emotional stability of the child. Now, when they come, that is what happens to them. As I was telling you, the best observation of emotional stability is in their vocabulary. See, for example, we insist to teachers that, okay, the children must learn to speak full sentence. If they want water, they should say, I want water, please. But at home, they don't have to say it. Before, they would just say, and the mom will bring water. And after, when they grow up a little bit of 3 and a half, they would tell mom, water. And she will give the water. There is no need for a sentence. because the expression is important. So when the teachers insist, speak, they don't know what they're talking. And many times teachers will find that parents will argue with them and say, my child speaks. And the teacher will say, no, he does not, the child does not speak the full sentence. And the reason is they are emotionally still not stabilized. So that is why you find tantrums happening there. You find children getting cranky. So there are many things which happen to children because their whole routine, their whole schedule has shifted. Now, if the parents don't have this strictness and discipline at home, then again that will disturb the stability and emotional stability of the child. For example, suppose a parent has a habit of eating late dinners. Just throwing an example to all of you, because after food eating, you need to have at least 2 to 3 hours gap before you can sleep to get good digestion. And children must get at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep at that age. So, which means a child must be in bed and slept by 9 o'clock latest to be able to wake up at 6 to go to school, or even earlier sometimes because of the distances you have to commute and cover. So, if the child has to wake up around 6 o'clock and has to sleep at 9, can you imagine the whole clock? And if this home has a habit of sleeping late, or many times the parents don't understand that they may have their own party going on or their own get-togethers going on, and they expect children to sleep. So there is a lot of conflict, and all these things add up to the emotional destabilization of child. So when the child comes to school in the morning, and we realize that many times the child is cranky in the morning, and by the time he gets fresh, it's already half a day over. And the reason behind is that he did not or she did not get a good sleep. So many times, all these emotional disturbances are based on something which is not related to school per se. But we have to understand what are the factors which can impact the child, which can disturb the emotions of the child. So when we get thinking from that perspective, that is the time when we start gathering this input as to what is emotional stability. So emotional stability is not just expressions. The child should know how to control my anger, how should ask for food or water, or how he should show his dissent or agreement. That is an expression of emotional stability. But what causes the emotional stability, that also we need to understand. And that is what we need to check. So that can happen because of indiscipline, because of irregular habits at home. It can happen because of any of such irregularities in their lifestyle. So emotional stability entails all these factors to look at. So then we come into expression of emotions, and that is what school and everybody is responsible to teach. So emotional expression is okay, if you get something, say thank you. If you are not, say sorry. So sorry, thank you, welcome, sit down, please. So all these are emotional expressions, but the basis of emotional experiences, that is what we have to catch. That is what we have to understand. So what causes it? And most of the time, emotional and safety and security are related also. And that is why, even if they move to 3 and 4, the teachers and the adults and the guardians and the parents must be conscious that the safety and security network of the child remains there. And then on top, we start adding emotional stability. So when you have safety and security and you have the emotional stability, then we move to the next stage, and that is normally 4 to 5. Now, here, let me again make a mark here that when I say this 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and all that, these are not hard and fast age brackets. This is an average system of growth. See, like curriculums are created not for smart children or dull children, it's created for an average children. So, average how a human child will grow, that is how the curriculums are created. But then exceptions are always there. So if your majority moves ahead, then maybe we can move the whole spectrum, or we say, oh, we have got extraordinary children in the class because they all are above average. So that is different. So that is why when we talk about this brackets, please don't say that today was my third birthday, so I am in this bracket. Tomorrow is my fourth birthday, I am in that bracket. It is not that hard and fast, but it gives us an idea as to what is my growth movement. So if the child has a delayed process of growth, there's nothing to worry. It is quite possible that 0 to 3 could extend to 0 to 4, and then 4 to 5 can extend to 4.5 to 5.5 or more. That does not matter. And I will show it to you later on how everything gets neutralized by the time the child comes to the teenagers. So this is not something to worry, but this is to keep a conscious eye so that we understand what is the most important factor for child development. So don't get tensed up. Oh my God, my child is 4 today, and I have not looked at that. Today is 5 and he's not been emotional stable. He's still. That is not the way to look at these things. So understand the flow, and then accordingly look at your own children, look at in even the children under your care, and then assist them. And that we'll again discuss. So now we come to 4 and 5 years. And in that, the next thing is social skills. Now, this is the skills. Now, this is a milestone, which I put it as a milestone, because this is the time when we start teaching them interactions with each other. See, that's why I said to you, it is not that we don't teach interactions when they come to the class. So at 3 years only, we start teaching them say hello, say good morning, say thank you. We teach them. But the point to note here is that do not get too serious if the child has not understood or is not responding all the time in your social skill excellence when he is only 3 years old. So at 3 year old, if he makes a mistake in social skills, I can still tolerate. I should not take it seriously, and I should understand, okay, there is time. But if he lacks in emotional stability or has a problem with safety and security at 5, then I have something to be worried about. Because if I have not given him safety and security and emotional stability, then expecting a child to be socially aware, conscious, and responsive is unfair on the child. So, as an adult, I am more responsible for my child to understand what is expected out of him. So, that is where I said to you, don't take these things as timelines, as a very hard and fast timelines, but the flow is logical and very critical. So, flow must be taken very seriously. So, in the social skills, then we expect children to understand their contextual relationship with the nature. So children must be given this understanding that the child is in the society. And if the child is enjoying everything around him, it is because there are many other factors which are coming together. So the sense of gratitude, the sense of cooperation, the sense of sharing, giving, caring, all that thing starts happening at social skill at this age. So by the time we have installed fourth, that's like an upper kindergarten level in most of the places, that is where the whole game starts. So if you have that, then we understand what is the value of what you call safety and security, emotional stability, and now we are implementing these things as social skills. And that is where the whole game starts. Now, I think one Vandana has mentioned that yes, school begins at 2.5 years in India. Yes, there are in the world, there are kindergarten or play school, whatever they call them, sometimes called nursery, sometimes called play schools. It starts at 2.5 to 3 years, most of the places. And I will show you at the end that how this does not make much difference. In fact, that's why I said it is really immaterial when you send the child away to your school, whether it is 2.5, 3, or 3.5. What is more important are these milestones. If you can provide these milestones at home, you have a better chance of success when they grow up. So we'll share that also. But yes, the flow does not change. So whether it is you send your child because you have working parents and because of environment issues, you have to send them. Sometimes you have both parents are working, then what do you do? So you have to put the child in a crutches or even a daycare or playhouse or whatever you call them. So if you do that, still your criteria, your expectation from them is this. So you have to understand what is my criteria. So if your child is below 3, your prime criteria is, yes, you play with my child, I don't mind, you play and you teach them whatever, but all that you are doing is only to reinforce that my child is safe and secure. So that is what this flow chart must be able to convey to all of us. So social skill is kind of an implementation program wherein we start giving them their social norms, that child, you have to understand that you are part of a group. And that is why if you go to kindergartens, you will see they will have maximum group activities. The children will play together, work together, they have projects together, they have activities together. In fact, in good schools, they will find they will make small groups of 4 to 5 children together sitting and doing things. So all that is done so that the child learns the importance of being in a social network, importance of being an important element of the society. So social skill is very important. Now, research tells me very beautifully that by the time the child is 5 years old, his overall development is done. The values orientation, his character building is done. So, even if you look medically, they will tell you that 80% of the mind growth is done. So, in these circumstances, if you analyze it, you will realize that 0 to 5 is the formative age of the child. And whatever you have to teach the child, whatever kind of personality you want in the child, whatever traits you want your child to have, they're all fed in by the time he's 5 years old. Which means when he is ready to go to primary school, in our Eastern template, we say when you have the Upanayana, the thread ceremony, when you say now you are ready to go to school, that means by that time, the child must have safety and security, emotional stability, and social skills done. So child must know how to hold himself, how to control his emotions, and how to be a part of the social structure. Then he's eligible for higher studies. And that is the catch. And that is why if you look at the whole thing, it is so beautifully done that by the time he's 5 years old, his character installation is done. And after this time, and that is a very tricky statement I'm going to make, after this time, if you want to teach something to the child, it is the child has to unlearn first to learn again. So from 5 year onwards, his learning is stalled to that extent. So if you teach him something which is contrary to the base you have created, then the child first has to unlearn to learn new thing. And that unlearning is a very tough task. And that is exactly what I want to convey to you in more serious way. So this is why 0 to 5 in the child development is the most critical, crucial stage. And once you have crossed that, then life is different. If you have worked on it, then we have done it. So after that, then we have a new bracket. Now, if you notice, we had 0 to 3 years, and then we had 1 year. And that is how the children learn. So if you see a 4 year old and you see a 5 year old, you can see the growth. But after 5 years, the growth is not so drastic and apparent. You will see them, yeah, he's growing, but between 4 to 5, you can see the child just grows. And you can see every day something new happening. You can even look at your child and say, wow, today he learned that, tomorrow he learned that. But when he comes to the primary school age, then the learning is not so abrupt and sudden. So that is why you have a bigger bracket now, 5 to 12. And this is the time which our research names it as life skills. Now, what is life skill? Life skills are those skills which are important to build life, which are important to live life, which are important to have a fulfilling life. Now, I am differentiating from living. Please don't confuse these two. See, unfortunately, everything today gets equated with financial economics. And if doesn't make economic sense, people don't know how to pursue that. And if few people do that, they call it hobby. The hobbies are very, very important thing in life. But just calling them hobby should not undermine the importance of those activities, because that is the activities which has really impacted and spread and broadened your outlook. So life skills are those. And in the schools, we use things like self-reliance programs. In India, we used to have SUP, socially useful productive work in my time. I don't know what is now. But technically, we put in self-reliance programs. So like all the activities of the school, all the activities related at home, how do you integrate children into it? So children know how to implement things. So they can be learning plumbing, they can be learning carpentry, they can be learning gardening, so anything of that nature. But that will help them not only to grow a skill in their life, which will give them fulfillment. I could be a general manager of a big industry, but when I come and do gardening, I feel comfortable. Sometimes you just come and painters do a painting and they feel calm and relaxed. I had a friend who was in working for, he's a medical team, and he used to work in the hospital, and very tensed because most in and out they would see patients, and critical patients that too, are dealing with life and death every day. So in medical, in Western countries, it's very common that the doctors and all they start drinking, because that's the only way they have learned how to cool down, how to relax. But actually, that is not relaxation, because you are hurting yourself again. So if you look at it from the real perspective, then you realize that drinking is not the solution. And fortunately, he had these life skills. So he was a very good keyboard player. He used to play accordion and all that. So when he would come back home, he started playing accordion. He used to do gym. So those life skills saved him. So not only he was working harder, but when he came back, he engaged himself in these activities. So it became much more fruitful and energetic. It gave him good body and health, and he was no side effect, and he could work continuously. Imagine the people who work hard, slog it out the whole day, get stressed, then they go and drink, and then come back and sleep without aware of their physical body. Next day again they get up, and again the cycle continues. How much harm and damage are they doing to them themselves? So in the name of relaxation, they're hurting themselves. And then they need a long holiday to relax. As they joke, after a holiday, you want another holiday to get relaxation from the next last holiday. So life skills are the beautiful thing. If you give them in the right attitude, in the right manner, it can become a life saving thing for the children in the future. See, that is why you have terms like soccer moms in the West. What was that? The poor mothers, as soon as the school gets over, they would dump. Every mother I have seen in America at that age, they would not buy small cars. They used to always have a Wagoner or a family van, because the back part is totally dumped with the sports item. They are picking up their children and dropping them to a gymnasium or a dance class or a language class or swimming class. So there are football class. So there is a lot of things happening. And the children have the capacity at this age to jump from one activity to another activity. So 1 hour for dance, then you can go for swim. Then they come back and go a language. They can learn music. So you can see that the child has an ability to switch every hour to a different activity. It's like a mechanical, and the mothers have to drive them. That's all they have to do. But when same activity as an adult, if we want to do it, try it. Even if you spend money, you cannot do it. You cannot switch every 1 hour and try to do different activities. For that, you require an amazing discipline, amazing self control, and confidence to do it. But for children, it is natural. At this age of 5 to 12, they are perfect, they are receptive, they are like sponges. They can learn anything they want. You can throw them languages, they will learn. You can give them curricular activities, they will do dances, dramas, music, instruments, anything they will learn, because for them it does not matter. They will pick up and they may cry, they may even fight with you, they may even like lose themselves, like, mom, why again you're going there, again I have to do it this. But when they grow up, they will be the first person to say thank you, because of those push, that today they are able to live a happy life. Today they are able to show off that I know guitar, I can dance, I can swim, I can do this. So those, that is why we call them life skills. So at this age, the main intent, see, they will learn anyways, they will learn subjects, they will do everything. But the main intent for them is to have life skills. So a safe and secure, emotionally stable, socially conscious being, having the life skills, now enters the next phase of 12 to 16. In that age, we call it consolidation period. Now, why I do call it is because this is the age when the teenage brain starts working. And I'm sure you all must have heard this term, and it has been going on for many years now. They always say that these children ask too many questions. That's why these poor children were named as Y generation kids, because they used to ask why for everything. Get up, why? Eat this, why? Don't eat it, why? Go to Sunday class, why? So because they need to understand, why am I doing what I'm doing? But unfortunately, the earlier age bracket did not question that from their parents. Like my father never dared to question his father. I also followed, but probably I would have raised one or two times, like why, and if he didn't get answer, still do it, because the environment was such. But today's children, they will ask you point blank that, dad, why? Mom, why? Why do you want me to do that? They needed an answer, and that to a logical answer. You can't tell them that, oh, because generations have been doing it, you do it. That is not a valid answer. So this is the phase when a child starts thinking. Child has his own assessment. Child has been given enough exposure in an idealistic environment to question, analyze, and self decide. This is a stage of empowerment. This is a stage of self development. So here the child is actually questioning and asking, trying to validate that, dad, mom, you put me through a lifestyle for the last 12 to 15 years. Is that worth it? What is the logic behind it? Because now the child is deciding, whether he says it or not. Now the child is deciding his own lifestyle that he wants in future, whether he wants to be like his parents or wants to do something else. My father is a doctor, I want to be a doctor because I love the way he lives, I love the way the family works. Now is the time when the child has to make that call. Unfortunately, these are not verbalized all the time, but this is what is happening in the psyche. So child needs to validate that, is it worth it? If not, then let me choose something else. Maybe I love guitar, I will play and have my band, but I will do medical. I can't handle that rough and like tight schedule and hard work. For me, I am more, I can't see dead bodies. I want to see music, love, romance. I don't know what it is. So the child is consolidating himself. So this is a consolidation period because the questioning is there, because they are trying to validate. So whatever mistakes we have done so far can be fixed at this stage also. But for that, the parents have to be ready. They have to first understand what has gone wrong. And And that is why this flow chart will again help you. If you see some issues in the family, in children, then you must be able to extrapolate and, or go back thread and find out that why is he behaving like that. Is he because he's rude? Is he because he doesn't know any better? Or is he because his safety is threatened? Is that because we didn't stress on his emotional stability? He never was shown how to control himself or how to manage himself. Or was it because he always lived alone and he has got no social skills? We always kept him sheltered, thinking that this is a better way of life. So we kept him away from the society. We kept him away from making friends. We didn't allow him to interact. And that is why he does not know how to mix and merge and play and collaborate with others. So the issue which you see there, you can easily look back and dissect as to what could be the real issue in the child development. So you can help the children to consolidate their thoughts. And at this time, the parents can be more vocal and understanding to tell the child, yes, I made a mistake. It doesn't matter, because now the child is mature enough to understand. And once that phase happens, now I have broken it. Usually we used to have 12 to 19 directly. I broke it down because I realized this teenage is very delicate. It's like 0 to 3 kind of scenario. So you have a phase, but once they cross this 16 and they get into the, getting into the college lifestyle, and there's a different thought, and it's called validation. So one is consolidation of understanding what happens, and now they want to make firm decisions in life, that this is what I want to do in my life. This is the career I want to take. This is the life I want to do. This is what my target is. This is my, after 5 years, I want to be. See, all these stories happen at this point of time in life. So in a growth of a child, if you look at it, this age is a very crucial age, because that is physical transformation is happening, mental transformation is happening, emotional transformation is happening. So everything is changing now, because now the child is jumping from another safe environment to a new environment. From kindergarten to school environment, and from school now to next environment, wherein now he is responsible for himself. In the Western mind, we say you are 18 on your own. So which means now the new environment. So the threat to safety and security, emotional stability, everything comes back. So now the challenge is doubled. And if we have done this phases in an orderly manner, then it is very easy for us to manage our children. It's very easy for us to help them, to understand them, and to grow with them. So this flow should be able to tell you that. So now if you look at the summary, 0 to 3, safety and security. 3 to 4, we add emotional stability. 4 to 5, social skills. And then we add life skills, and then consolidate all of that, what you have learned. And then from there, we come to validation period. Now, if you learn this validation properly, then basically we have achieved and we have helped our children. So if you look at this whole flow, you can see how you can help each other. So even if you have missed out, you feel that, okay, my child has emotional tantrums today. He's very confident. The child is confident. I don't think he or she has a safety and security issues, but they are emotionally unstable. Fair enough, because they have learned a different way of expressing things. No problem. And they are in 16 years for that example. Now here, if you have done rest properly and you have found out the missing link, then you can be taught the mannerism of communication. Now there are issues, I'm sure all of you must have experienced. If you talk to your children, in fact, if you talk to some other children, then you will get a better answer, because your relationship with children will always make you talk in a different way. There's an authoritative voice from the parent, and there's a repulsive voice from the children. It's natural. But the same child talking to a neighbor's neighbor elder or a friend's parent will be different. So for that, speak to somebody and you will understand a very beautiful thing, that first, they are not questioning you because they want to insult you. That presumption is wrong. Children are naughty, children are children, they can. But ideally speaking and typically speaking, they do not question you to insult you. They do not question parents or adults just to threaten them. Their style may be wrong, but the intent is very neat. I need to understand why. And if you have taught them how to ask, then the question will be different. But if you have not taught them how to express, how, that is where the emotional and social skills come, then you have a problem of expression here. That's all it is. Like I told one, I think it was a teenage girl, and one day in US, she asked me that, she had a problem with her mother, and in an interview and separately she questioned, and she expressed herself that I have a problem. Like my mom is like, she every day morning she'll come and scream at me. She can't talk softly to me, and she's always upset. So I heard her story, and it was very nice. I could, if she talks to her own colleagues, they'll all agree with her that yes, your mom should not talk like that. So I asked her, okay, forget the tone. Just tell me, what did your mom expect to tell you? He said, she just wanted to wake me up. I said, oh, what time does she come and wake you up? Usually around 8:30. I said, you sleep till 8:30? Yeah. So she said, yeah, because she just. So I said, okay. So basically, she's waking you up at 8:30 when you are supposed to leave at 9 or 9:30, something like that, to work or wherever. And then you feel bad that she doesn't come properly to you, and she's scolding you or she's screaming at you, correct? And I could see that she started calming down because she understood where the problem was. So I said, just delete the expression of the parent. Don't worry about how she is telling you. Look at what she is telling you. So was she wrong in waking you up at 8:30 in the morning because you have to go to work or school at 9 or 9:30? No. So which means, as a mother, does she not have that much of liberty or the oneness and authority to scold you for something which you are totally wrong? So I agree that she could have been politely saying, baby, it's like too late now, you must please get up. But that she will do if she's a neighbor, not when she's your mother. Similar goes with the children also. That is why a child can come and speak to a mother and father in whatever they will like, and the parents don't react that way. But if the same behavior is done by an external child, they will say, what a horrible behavior. And if the parents of the child is there, they will blame the parents also. So why can't we look at each other from that perspective, that forget the tone, why can't you understand the words? What is their intent? And 99.9% I can tell you, what the parents tell to the child is right, but their tone may be wrong. And similarly, what the child wants to convey is also right, but may not be the style and the approach. And that is all possible during this consolidation and validation period, because the child is bubbling with energy. The child is really, he wants to get go. And in that, he wants quick responses and in the way they have been exposed in the environment. So just because I was born in 60s and I was grown up in 70s, 80s, I can't expect in 2010 the similar kind of tone and behavior. So we go back. Today's children, they have their own style of communication. So if you want to be in the rhythm, we must also have an ear to them to understand what do they talk, how do they talk, and then convey to them. Or initial years from 0 to 5, teach them your style. So if you have taught them your style, then they are smart enough to learn how to talk to you different than how they talk to others. I can show you many children who are very smart in understanding how to talk to parents, how to talk to grandparents, and how to talk to neighbors and others. they will change and switch within seconds because they have learned it. But if you have not put your foot down and trained them in loving manner, then they will treat you in the same manner as the environment has taught them. So either you take charge or you face the music. But the best part is that any age we can rectify. Now, today time is done. Maybe I will take up another session to discuss about the consequence of these things and the time. There's a timeline to these things as to how much time it takes to fix a slip. That research I will share maybe in the next session. So for now, uh, since time is up, I will just look at if any there's any question, or I'll request people to just. I always request you all to please come and share your thoughts, share your suggestions on the YouTube. Please do write your comments or questions if you have any. And if I get some good questions and number of questions, then what I can do is I could invite some parents or adults to join me in the studio and share your scenarios and thoughts, and we can discuss that together. Alternatively, I can always read out what you have sent me, your questions and thoughts, and that we can use it to share and learn from each other in the next session. So I welcome you all. Please do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon next to that. That will give you an intimation for our next session. And leave your comments, suggestions, and questions. And because of them, I can plan the next session accordingly. And as I said to you before, I am choosing these topics based on the feedback and the request from the listeners. So please do share. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your being here. And thanks for this lovely session. Thank you very much.